This episode of Wardogs, our podcast, is brought to you by Wardogs NFT. We are three dumb digs aiming to make a huge difference in the Web3 space. For more information regarding our Wardogs NFT project, head to our socials, Wardogs_NFT on both Instagram and Twitter, and our website, www.wardogsnftrange.com. The Wardogs Hour podcast aims to inspire people by sharing real-life experiences and what possibilities we have at our fingertips using our connections, skills and disciplines learned from our time in the military. Let's spin some mad worries and have a laugh.
Hi boys, I have a question for the men. What the fuck do you want? What is it? I can't figure it out.
This morning we have Jacob and John from another solid Web3 project, Outback Martians. Jacob served alongside the founders of Wardogs in the mighty 5R battalion and John served in the English Army as a grunt. Both men served a stellar and decorated career and have now found themselves running a successful NFT project that aims to improve mental health through the stream of comedy. With laughs come improved mental health, and these men put a strong focus on that and are aiming to build their own facility so that this can become so in real life. Good morning, fellas. Obviously, the team here are a little bit damaged this morning, but how are you boys this morning?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Not too bad. I'm coming down for a cold, though, so we're feeling about fucking 3 steps better than Dotty.
Yeah, it wouldn't be hard, mate. We're below zero at the moment, and John, obviously, you boys have travelled down from Brizzy today. We appreciate that. So we're going to dive in a little bit about your post-military careers here. Not necessarily what you're doing as a job, but more your entrepreneurial aspect of life now. I'm just going to start by saying, boys, what was your life like leading into the Army, like 2 years beforehand? So, Jack, we'll just start with you, mate.
2 years before, I was.
Rough, whatever. Just give us a little spiel leading into the Army, yeah.
I had a pretty fucking crazy life, man, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, my parents are still together. It's a very sheltered childhood. They're quite religious people, so It was crazy, man. Went through high school, started smoking a shit ton of weed, and then after left that and decided I was going to join the Army, cleaned it up, and then joined, man, in mid-2009.
So would you say that, you joining the Army was sort of to clean your life up, or just a career you wanted to do?
Oh, no, it's something I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like, it was something that I'd always, ever since I was little, I'd wanted to do two things. I wanted to be in films and I wanted to be a soldier.
Yep. And
I kind of hated school. I didn't like studying. I was like hanging out with my boys and the mates.
Pretty common theme with all of our guests at the moment. They're all saying, we didn't do real well at school.
Yeah.
And the founders here didn't do extremely well either. But, Dotty seemed to do all right. So don't know why he's sitting here with us. But anyway. John, what about you, mate, leading into the Army?
It was a bit different for me. When I joined, I was pretty young. I was not even 16 back in UK.
Oh, you joined when you were 16?
I was 15 years old and 8 months. It's the youngest age you can join back in UK.
Oh,
wow.
What is it here? Is it 17 here?
17, yeah.
Yeah, we're just built different in UK. We're a bit stronger headed than that.
Oh, yeah.
Just little, no muscle, all cardio, run from everything.
I remember seeing all the pommies over there. They're just smaller men, aren't they?
Yeah, but we can carry more and go faster. So that's just the way we're built. But yeah, it was a bit of a different. I grew up in a council estate back in UK, up in Yorkshire, and definitely a different breed up there. Obviously in UK, there's more people living in it's more dense areas where we've got more people living there, so everyone's on top of each other. Growing up in a council estate, it was a different bag of fish, dealing with a lot more shit over there, I guess. Your upbringing's very different. There's a lot of addiction and shit around you, so.
Yep.
For me, I was the same. Absolute nightmare in school. I used to get excluded from school and then climb back through one of the windows and go back into school to cause more shit. I just couldn't really help myself. Yeah. I knew that I pretty much at that point knew I had two choices. I don't think I was smart enough to roll into like this college and uni. I just didn't have the capacity to sit there and learn it.
Yep.
So I jumped into the Army side of things from a very young age. Still realistically a boy. My adulthood came from military.
Yeah, right. At 15 and 8 months, I don't think I'd even hit puberty by then.
Yeah, that's
let alone
crazy.
being able to carry a fucking pack and a rifle, and contemplate going on deployment at that age is insane.
Is it full blown army though? I just remember listening to an interview where it's like almost like a more advanced Boy Scouts thing leading into.
It's not Boy Scouts.
No, but you know what I mean. Like it's
tying knots
Like
and
I'm
getting
fucking
little
doing
ribbons and
brownies,
stuff,
yeah.
like-
That's what I mean. Fucking selling cookies.
on the side, raising money for the unit. Yeah,
You shave your legs, you weirdos.
yeah.
You do the back of my legs for me. No, it's
Can't reach.
it's childbearing hips. Now it's Army Foundation College. So how it works is if you join at a younger age, they put more time into you as future leaders.
Yeah.
So when it comes to promotion and stuff like that, some of the guys that were part of the platoon that I was in at that age, they'd if they had certain, I guess if they were pretty smart or clicked on and that, they might have got picked up and put through university through the military, and then they'd pick up on the back end of that, go Sandhurst and become an officer.
So kind of like cadets here in Australia.
That's more
definitely
what I
not.
was
It's
looking
not
for.
fucking cadets.
No,
Cadets is completely fucking. You can't just walk out and leave. Like, you signed up.
yeah.
The only way you can leave at that age is that if this is going to make it sound like cadets. If your mum and dad rang and said we're pulling them out.
Yeah, so cadets.
Yeah,
Cadets.
cadets.
What you're describing to me, John, it's cadets, mate.
Mate,
I mean, we had people in Kapuka. I'm pretty sure their mum and dad rang Kapuka and got them out as well, the little weaklings.
snowflakes. That's what it is.
Little. We had a dude first night. I remember that.
Yeah.
He was banging his head against the toilet door. He's like, "I'm not fucking staying here." Like, we're all looking at him like, "You weak little dog."
That's still
like,
cuddles
We hadn't
weak.
even been yelled at yet.
Yeah.
It was interesting. So moving on from like your first stage there, whatever you want to call it, the cadets or whatever it is. You knew this was coming, it was coming in red hot too. Now we're a little bit damaged as well, so the comedy's just going to flow here. So moving on from that, like, what was your time like serving in the English Army, and how long did you serve for too?
So it's British Army. Sorry to correct you there. Phil.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So I served for 8 years. When you got into the foundation, like into that foundation college, again, like you are pretty young. I'm glad I joined that young, because I feel like definitely looking back from, I guess, the last 2 years I spent there, going back into the aspect of training, training recruits coming through, things changed massively. So when I joined, it was still very much a character building thing. There was no such thing as bullying. So my first, I've always had an answer for everything. So my first 6 weeks, I had one of the guys from Five Scots, Black Watch they're called, and he's a big fat Highlander, and he was telling me like my bed, your bunk was all done wrong. And I had the year before's picture of it, so I corrected him. Biggest mistake I probably made, and he smacked me in the mouth. I don't think his intentions were to fracture my jaw, but that's what he did. And he told me to get up. I wasn't even 16, like literally. Still
Child abuse.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Shout out that dude.
Yeah. Good bloke.
Well done, mate.
Good bloke.
Great bloke. Sounds like it, yeah.
But yeah,
Go into battle with him though.
yeah,
What a warrior.
fucking hell. And he told me to stand up and close my mouth before he breaks my nose as well. And that's before you were 16. That didn't happen in this day and age. Like you'd fucking, well, the amount of money you'd get if that happened now would be ridiculous. I wouldn't be sat here doing.
Oh
a podcast.
yeah, if you were doing that in Australia, you'd be on a DVA for the rest of your life.
But that I learnt more about him because you got to spend 12 months there. And as I got to battalion, and we were doing pre-deployment training with Five Scots, and we were talking around him. He's called and there's a long-going story where his wife cheated on him with one of the boys while he was away, and that bloke was in his bed.
Classic.
This guy went in with lighter fluid while this guy was asleep, squirted all over the bottom of his bed, and sent him on fire. His legs was on fire when he woke up. So he's known to be a bit of a fucking nutcase.
It's a warrior prick, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
We didn't have anything that extreme, eh? I look back on my time, like, fuck, yeah, we got it pretty easy, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, I got ridden a bit because I was a bit of a dick, but
Was.
It's typical Australians, isn't it?
It
You
was.
guys get an easy run.
yeah, I mean, we get it pretty easy, and especially now, I think, the boys and girls that are coming through now, they don't know what it was like, and we don't know what it was like for the people before us. And, you know, Jacob, you served with us at 5 Hour. What is your view on, you know, your time in the Army, mate, and how 5 Hour treated you? I mean, this could get interesting. We won't go too deep, you know, about the trials and tribulations in Darwin and 5 Hour, but
We've only got an hour.
Yeah. We can't crap on all day. But what was your view on life in the Army, mate?
I tell people if they ask me, like civvies and whatnot, what was the Army like? I say it's 90% shit times.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a grunt. 10% good times. But those 10% good times are they're the best times of your life.
Yeah.
They're the times that you look back when you are having shit times and you're looking back and you're like, fuck. And even the shit times, depending on who the company you were with, ended up being some of the funniest times that you look back on now and have a good laugh at how shit it was. Like it's overall a good experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking plenty of shit times for sure. I think 5, as I got further along in sort of the career of things, I never ended up at training command, but having some of the other boys go down there and talking to them, it seems that the guys that are at the training command they decide where the recruits and stuff are going from Singo on that. And I think depending on who's down there, they kind of look at who's coming through and pick the jets and send them to their battalions. They could prop up their old battalion.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, as much as we had a bunch of really good dudes in 5, we also had some proper shit bags. I think that comes down to the fact that we were so like 5, 7 and 5 were so operational for so long.
Yeah.
It did become a bit of a dumping ground at some point.
And we had this conversation yesterday with Tom. You know, everyone kind of looked down on 5 Hour a little bit, but it was the most heavily deployed unit for a long time.
Yeah.
And I said this to Tom yesterday, like when we rocked up to battalion, it was full of grown men. It wasn't little boys that had just strutted out of Kapuka. You're talking to grown men that are heavily decorated already, you know, ribbons and stuff. They're gonged up to the hills like they had combat experience. So, I mean, everyone loves to hang shit on 5, but, you know, when we joined, it was full of like proper vets.
Yeah, I think we were in a very different time as well because Afghan was sort of, when we got back from ours, it was sort of looking at that wrap-up. They were looking at pulling out by like 2014 or something. So all the boys that were gonged up when we got there, they were bailed. Like they were all gone.
Yeah.
So we were in a very sort of junior battalion by the end of MCF2. Everyone bailed. Like I got promoted earlier than I should have for sure. You know, you don't really have a choice. You just got to do it. But like I was nowhere near ready to take on that responsibility. You just had to kind of just do it.
So you went on MTF2 with Dottie and Tom. How was your time over in Afghan? Because you're in a different area to Tom. Hey?
Yeah. We were just talking about this last night. Actually, I was supposed to be in Tom's section, but injured myself early on, and the section commander there, like I was busted, so he pulled me off, and I ended up getting thrown into OGA platoon. So I found out a statistic a couple of years after we got back, and I don't know how true it is, how confirmed it was, but someone said like our platoon did about 2/3 of the entire battle group's taskings in terms of just going out constantly because we were out all the time. So I had a very busy trip, but like we got no ticks. Like there was a couple of close calls, but nothing really major happened for us. We were a big footprint on the ground. So we basically just provided security for like engineers and government officials and humanitarian aid guys to try and rebuild the infrastructure of Afghan. So I think I made it to every patrol base we had in Afghan, and then a couple of villages outside that the only people who'd been there were the Saskats and Tudos.
Yeah.
So we had, in terms of seeing the country, I probably had one of the best trips you could. I saw so much of the country, it was ridiculous. But in terms of getting out and getting in firefights and all the good stuff that, you know, when you join to be a warfighter, what you want to do, we didn't get much of that. Like we got shot at like once, a couple of ADs, near misses, and that was it.
What year did you go?
2010, 11.
So more around the time where hearts and minds were getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah. I remember hearing MRTF2 and the ones before that were sort of the real, like ours was still a combat mission, I believe, MTF2, but was starting to move into that mentoring and pull back, a little bit.
So obviously you served with a different unit here, John. What was your deployment history, and how were your deployments, mate, with the British military, mate?
So we were part of like the spearhead. So I guess for us, we were based over in Cyprus, and what the goal really was, we were back and forth. So we're on the whole battalion itself. Different companies within the battalion. In the battalion, were set on different time frames on notice to move. So you'd spend 3 months a year when you're on 24 hours. Within that period, you could get on the piss. You can go and do what you want. But
like Cyprus would be a sick place to get posted.
Cyprus was unreal. We were banned.
Is it a posting in Cyprus?
Yeah. There's two.
Epic.
There's 2 postings out there. So you've got one over in Episcopi, which is on the like the north side of the island. I'm pretty sure. Our closest town there is Paphos, and that's a lot of people from like UK and Europe would go there for holidays. So it was very much a party scene for most of the year.
Yep.
We were banned from Ayia Napa. That was because this was a long time ago, but 3 officers got done whilst they were posted over there for murdering a chick and burying her on the beach, and they got caught for it.
Holy
so veterans were banned from Ayia Napa. So at a certain time of night, if you went out there, you'd have MPs and you'd have your battalion MPs that would be walking around Ayia Napa in civilian clothing and picking you up. Didn't matter if it was battalion MPs, because they would pick you up if they didn't like you. But if you give them €10, they'd leave you alone and they'd just have a good night on your money. So it wasn't. We still went out there and it was a good party central. A lot of Russians. Some of the stories we heard from the battalion before we were out there was crazy.
Definitely a lot nicer place to be posted than Robbo Barracks up in Darwin.
Absolutely.
And like being posted out there as well was so much better, because obviously being in the UK, we deal with fucking cold. The weather's shit.
Yeah.
They never train you anywhere nice. Like you go down to Brecon.
Oh, 100%.
Why can't the Missourians ever take the Gold Coast, eh?
Why can't I just have an exercise at Burley Beach, for a couple of hours?
It'd be nice and easy.
Yeah.
And that's the luxury we had over in Cyprus. They didn't have the right facilities there. The exercises were very standard, and it made life a lot easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, we spent time back and forth from Afghan, whether that was filling in for like being instructors across the RSOI package before you went out on the ground.
So you're flying in and out of Cyprus?
Yeah, pretty much every. I reckon every 3 months.
Yeah, right.
Go back and forth, unless you got picked up for backfill of. So with that is like you'd be backfilling one of the infantry battalions who potentially have took a mass loss within their battalions, which. That in itself is a different kettle of fish. You train with a bunch of guys, and then you could end up with 3 of them in a different battalion. They're going to treat people differently.
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely when you're backfilling one of their mates who's potentially set up with lost his legs or maybe he's been shot or whatever else. They're thinking about that, and you're replacing him.
It's not really good for cohesion as well, because, when you go somewhere different, like a different battalion, even when we went on exercises and shit like that, you just don't fit in.
Yeah.
You're not with your boys, so you just don't fit in. You're automatically an outcast.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. A bit of an outcast, but I don't think the Aussies are as sort of territorial with it. I think you guys, I don't know, obviously I'm just guessing, but you guys have a bit more esprit de corps in your individual unit. Whereas I think we didn't as much, because everyone just knows that you get fucked left, right and centre. It doesn't really matter. So you're going to give them shit, but it's not as big probably a culture shock going from one unit to another for us as it would have been for you boys.
Well, I guess if I was sent to a southern battalion, I'm going to be acting different, never mind being treated different. Just because northerners and southerners have had a long-standing conflict, I guess, between us. There is a different aspect to that. But as a whole, I guess that time over there, I've obviously got to experience different things through obviously what we do whilst we're based over there. I did get pulled in. I guess one of the luckier things is I got pulled back on 6 weeks of training on the RSOI package. So they took me off, I guess, from a ground basis back into Bastion. Bastion itself, if you've spent any time out there, it's unreal food. You got a KFC there, it's just next level, and you got markets there. It's literally a city in itself.
Yeah,
it's like Kandahar.
Yeah, it's definitely a good setup.
It's like all the boys that got posted to H Kaya in Kabul. There's full-blown shops there. It was like a small city.
Yeah, that's exactly what
you could buy rugs and stuff there. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? What am I going to do with a rug?
Yeah, they had what's that? Yeah. There's a big American. Is it Walmart or something like that? They had out there like a big shopping center. My bank card got blocked because I was in. They seen it as I was in Cyprus, the UK, and then America all in one day.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if you've ever tried to. Well, obviously you would have rang a bank at some point. Try and ring a bank from Afghanistan. Different fucking story. It took me ages to sort it out.
I had to call Optus Optus.
that'd be great.
Oh, mate, it was a pain. So I called them before we deployed and said, look, I'm in the Army, I'm going overseas in like 2 weeks. I need to suspend my contract. They're like, yeah, no dramas, whatever, we'll put it on the thing. Got like 4 or 5 months in, called home, and Dad's like, what's this Optus bill that's been rocking up? And I was like, what do you mean? I suspended it. He's like, no, he opens it up and there was like $700 of late charges and all this. I checked my bank account and they just direct debited it out, just took it and never charged it because I hadn't been paying my phone bill.
That's only half a day's pay for us Aussies over in Afghan.
Mate, I let fly, but I got the number, I got onto the chick. Oh, fuck. I fed it to some little Thai lady or whoever it was.
Dealing with that. You've already got enough on your plate. You've got to deal with a bill with those losers.
I got onto like the Australian manager eventually. It was about 3 fucking Asian people later. I got onto this the Australian fella and he's like, look, there's not much you can do. I was like, I'll tell you what you can do, mate. Yeah. You can fix it or I'm going to hang up and the next phone call I'm making is a current affair and I'm going to tell him how Optus is screwing Aussie diggers in Afghan out of money. Yeah. What do you reckon? And he's like, oh, no, I reckon we can fix that for you. I was like, thanks for coming to the party there, champion.
Thanks for wasting my time, mate. Yeah. It's not like I've got enough on my plate already, you know.
Isn't Optus HQ in Afghan anyway? Couldn't you just put
probably.
Yeah, probably is, yeah. Yeah, sweet. So, you know, obviously 8 years in the Army. And then what did you see your transition like when you left? And what did you do after that? Did you step straight into more business stuff?
Yeah, so for me, I think the aspect of never being broken down from having an answer for everything. I feel like my transition was a bit smoother. At the end of it, I was a bit disgruntled anyway because our battalion got disbanded due to the recession. I got moved from the battalion that I've served with from day one.
I say just shut it down because of the recession.
Gone. Yeah.
Cost cutting. Wow.
Yeah, got rid of a fair few battalions and one of them was the Green Howards. So yeah, then we all got moved around. The majority got moved into another Yorkshire battalion. Yeah. And then the second majority got moved into the other one. So we had 1 Yorks, 2 Yorks, 3 Yorks. 3 Yorks became 2 Yorks. So that kind of happened. Then I got moved with, I think, probably 8 or 9 other blokes, and I got moved to the Lancs. So obviously cat badge change and everything else. And obviously very territorial over the people you spent this amount of time with. They do become family.
Yeah, that esprit de corps as well.
Yeah, so that was a different kettle of fish. But yeah, I transferred. So when I left, for me, I went into more of a office-based job, and I think when I first left, it was more sales-based. It's probably easiest jobs to pick up off the back end. You know what I mean? Much experience, as long as you can hold your own and talk shit long enough. And I'm pretty good at talking shit. So walked into sales. And then not long after that, I flew over here.
So did you start your business career, when you got to Australia?
Yeah. So the first sales job that I got on really well with the director. So he took me under his wing, and I guess I got a bit of exposure, not a lot, but I got a bit of exposure from him. And I realised really early on, as I got to know him as a person, is that he had, without sounding arrogant, he had nothing that I couldn't develop myself, like learn myself. Yeah. Everything was self-taught. He's never been to university. And then I moved over here, and I guess the first time I started to really look at a stronger standpoint into business was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. On back end of an injury off work, and I was sat at home driving myself crazy. So that's when I started venturing more into it. Yeah.
And Jacob, just on your front, mate, when did you actually leave the military? Because we all sort of left Fire. I know the boys. I think Dottie, what did you leave in 2012? End of. And then Tom in 2013, but you stayed at 5, and then I sort of went to another joint.
Yeah, his old dog man just left me behind. I ended up leaving mid-2015. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was like the 1st of August or something like that.
And this is an interesting topic I like to talk about. When we all sort of left, that group of us left 5RR, what was your time like when, that solid group of boys mass discharged, I think it was. Is that what you call it? Like it was a mass
exodus. Yeah. Like I kind of touched on earlier, it was when you get like a mass vacuum like that, you also get like a rank vacuum. So basically anyone who's been around for more than breakfast, has been there slightly before the dude who rocked up at midnight last night. So they get hooked. Like I was promoted quite early. I probably wasn't ready for it. I did the best I could. I was good at my job. There's plenty of people that are a lot better than me for sure, and I definitely wasn't the best of the best by any standards, but I did the best I could with it. And it kind of, it did kind of suck a little bit. I don't know if you obviously remember when we rocked up. We rocked up in much smaller groups, and you kind of, as soon as you rocked up, you got split. So when you rocked up to a section, you were the new guy in a section of 7 or 8 dudes that had been together for a while. You shut your mouth. When everyone bailed, there was massive gaps. So like whole courses from Singer who are all comfortable with each other have rocked up, and they're now cruising around as like entire platoons of new digs, and they're real cohesive. So the gobbiness went to another level.
Oh, yeah.
On that, because you just didn't have that as much of a seniority around to be like, oh, shut the fuck up, man, and just pay attention and learn. You don't know dick.
The gobby lid, oh.
Yeah, and like I'm still a gobby lid, but I was up there with probably the gobbiest around, which was good.
I mean, Ryan's probably the gobbiest lid I've ever met in my life, but
he's not quite a Bart Zammit, but he's up there for sure. So so we ended up with a bit of a vacuum there, man. So it was hard because you didn't have your mates as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You were with a whole crew of young dudes who are completely different.
Because there was probably an exodus of 100 or 200 people, eh?
Yeah, man, it was pretty massive. There was a lot of people. Oh, there was some guys. I remember I finally got away for an Anzac Day out once I discharged to, I think it was Sydney, and caught up with boys who I had not seen since they were ripping out Afghan. Because a lot of dudes, they put their discharge in while they're overseas. So post-deployment leave was end X, mate. They're gone. Yeah, never rocked back up.
And then business-wise, is Outback Martians the first sort of business you've dived into, or have you done something on your own, like since leaving the Army before Outback Martians?
So business-wise, yeah, it is. But like I work in film outside of this, which is sort of what I really want to get into. So I do a bit of acting for film and TV and a little bit of stunt work, which is good fun, and a bit of TV hosting.
So is that where you're looking to head into, is more of that? And
absolutely. Yeah. Those are the two things I wanted to do when I was little. I love watching movies. I love TV shows. I wanted to be in film and I wanted to be a soldier. So I did the soldier, and now it's time to try and be the new Thor,
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I mean, all the power to you. But how are you finding business life now? Obviously, this is your first, so...
It's different, man. It's very different. I'm not really entrepreneurially brained, and I'm not real good business-wise as such. John's much better on that side of things. I'm much more of a creative brain, which has its drawbacks because I procrastinate things, I put things off, I struggle to get motivated, and then I finally do, and I smash out a bunch of quality stuff, and then it's back to struggling day to day.
Yeah, I mean? And I think that sort of is the main theme with us as well. We all bring something to the table.
Yeah.
At times we get less motivated as well.
Yeah.
But then the other person picks us up, gets us out of the gutter.
Yeah.
So, John's, a smart businessman. And this isn't your first business, John.
No.
You've sort of been an entrepreneur for quite some time now.
Yeah.
Do you just want to touch on what you've done business-wise leading into Outback Martians, mate?
Yeah.
And what you're doing, and what you guys are doing at Outback Martians too, like shamelessly plug that. Let's hear about it.
No drama. For me, with the entrepreneur side of things, I reckon it ticked over when I was like 12.
Yeah.
When good old Jamie Oliver banned all soft drink and you call them chips, crisps out of schools and shit like that. It was around the same time my birthday came around, so I had a chunk of money in my pocket, filled my bag up with it, and started selling it at school. Realised I it was an easy earner. I even had teachers buying soft drink off me, so it was going pretty strong.
Well done, Jamie.
And then,
take away the soft drinks and then you just backdoor it. Yeah,
that's it. It was an easy one. And I got a bit. I definitely learned early on around that and about the greed side of things, and you get too excited because I realised there was definitely a market there for ciggies. And that's where I got myself caught out. That's where I got myself caught out. Unfortunately, school teachers weren't coming up to me for a cigarette, but they were coming up to me for a cheeky kind of Fanta. So that definitely undid me. And then went into the army side of things, came out of that, and then a few years back got into, and it was random how I got into it. I knew I wanted to do something, just as a bit of a side hustle, and. I ended up finding myself into the Pokemon side of things, of all things. Yeah. That's how it started. And at first, I seen this guy selling a bunch of Pokemon cards for $1,000 and over in Australia. And before I even bought them off him, I sold 3 of the cards for $1,000. So I got the cards for nothing. And then after a few months, it made a fair bit of money, and I carried on rolling that out. And then looking at it, taking a step back and looking at it rather than dealing with people on Facebook Marketplace and all that, I looked at it to see.
It's a fucking nightmare dealing with people on that.
Off it is. And I went in on a different angle and looked at what I could do more business to business, because it's going to be more, I guess, a stronger turnaround, and venturing into that business to business side to set up some dropship, where now I've just got 3. The strongest part of it is there's 3 businesses. They order off me every single month. And the order comes through to my emails, goes straight to my supplier that I've set up, and I don't really have to do much on that side of things now. And then gone into more your movie replicas and stuff like that. So I definitely started on the collectible side of things. I don't know how I found myself in that. I'm not much of a movie buff. I've never really been a collector of trading cards in my life. So it's just an opportunity that I seen there, and the market was hot for it. So that's kind of started off where I went with it, and then ventured in. My wife started a business where I started to help her with that, and helping her grow that and growing her stuff, and then ventured more into more of the digital side of things after that.
So how do you think your military service has helped you in business now? Or if it hasn't, touch on that too.
I think more than anything is just awareness. You can see bullshit from a mile away.
Yeah.
I think you can't be taught that. Well, obviously you can be taught that, because I've took it from the military, but it takes time to be able to I think we spend so much time on us looking at our surroundings, and I guess looking at people, where we can get a good impression on someone within the first 5 minutes of meeting them, where I guess in normal business these days, people are very trustworthy. Like they're very trusting. They'll let people in. They think they've got the best intentions. Where when I meet someone, I instantly think they've got the worst intentions until I see that. That would be me from the military standpoint.
Yeah. For me, probably not as much in the NFT side of things, more in the film side of things. We've had a pretty shit life. When you look at the circumstances we've been involved in terms of the military, as much as we've loved it and whatnot, you've been in some pretty uncomfortable positions for long periods of time. Definitely. And learning to deal with that and just kind of pick up and keep going it's a really valuable skill. Like, I get onto set and I love being on set. Like, I don't care if we work an 18-hour day. It doesn't bother me. Yeah. If I got to work, an 8-hour day at a normal job, I'm fucking miserable for 8 hours. But I get on set and I don't care. And it brings a good attitude when people are around you, especially because everyone's looking at each other, and film does tend to be a meritocracy. There are some people that get kind of fall through the cracks, and, people know who they are, but generally everyone there is there because they're good at what they do.
So your hard work, you think?
Yeah.
So you've got it. You reckon the military sort of taught you good work ethic? Well, is that what you've got ahead of a lot of people?
Yeah, maybe not work ethic, because a lot of the people who've got the good work ethic, I think it's just being able to be in a shit situation, be uncomfortable and still be chipper, and still have a laugh about it.
Still get the job done too.
Yeah. Whereas a lot of these people, they do work really hard, and I don't want to take that away from anyone there, but I do find that they've had a softer go of things, a lot of people, and they tend to be like, it's shit, and they'll whinge about how shit it is. And I'm like, mate, this is fucking so good. Like, we're getting top class feeds here. I don't care if I get soaked wet because I'm going home. I'll have a shower, I'll get into a nice warm bed, and they're like, man, this sucks.
It's perspective on life, eh? You're like,
that's probably the best way to put it. So I just have a laugh, and I think that in turn, they're like, Jake's always happy to be here. Like, he's always having a good time, and that I think works in my favour as well. People, you're more fun to be around. People want to be around you, which works, because when it comes to putting a production together, people work with who they enjoyed working with. Because you are going to work long hours with someone for like 3-4 months. If it's a TV series, mate, you could be there for 12 months. It could be multiple years on end. You don't want to work with, if Dottie's a real miserable dude to be around when stuff gets hard, you don't want to work with Dottie because he's been miserable. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's that thing. If you're a happy dude, people want to work with you.
Do you not reckon that's society though in itself? Realistically, like, you look at it, everyone's expecting a handout. Everyone feels like other people are doing well, but they're not doing anything to get that.
Yeah, 100%. And big shout out Labor Party for promoting handouts, mate. Just had to get that in there. Big stab at the Labor government of Australia. Yeah.
Aren't they our sponsors today?
Yeah. Fuck, I wish. Yeah. So Outback Martians, fellas, how did you come up with that idea and how did you two come together to build Outback Martians? Because it's not easy building this Web3/NFT business. So we all know that, this is a fucking hard game. It's stressful. It's long hours. People are working their 9 to 5 and then having to come to this. How did you guys go, yep, we're going to do this, and then get to where you are now?
Well, we met through work. So we worked together. We were at the same job for a bit there and got along quite well. John didn't like me very much at the start because he's just a stuck-up pom, really, with no sense of humour.
Yeah.
But we kind of hit it off, got along quite well, became quite good mates, and I think both of us separately had just been sort of seeing the NFT movement, what was going on, and kind of curious about it.
Yep.
I remember going, fuck, this would be something we could potentially get into and have a look, and picking up the phone and giving John a call and going, hey, what do you know about NFTs? And he's like, bro, I was just about to call you and ask you, what do you know about NFTs? Yeah. And from there, we sort of started the conversation. No, if we get a team together, I think we could probably do this. We'd find our own little niche, and then we spitballed for ages on names, what we were going to do with it, and
artwork side of things.
Yeah,
I think as well for Jake, when I started my first side of business, I hit up Jake just because we obviously catch up a lot, and I said, do you want to chuck some money into this? And he didn't see any value in it, so I think he was kicking himself because he could have made a chunk of money.
Yeah.
And then obviously when it came into the next thing, when we were talking on NFTs and everything else, we had to think about artwork and went through a bunch of ideas. We had this, do you know the Black Plague doctors? Where the fucking funny masks with the beak looking thing? Yeah. So we were going to we thought of an idea of venturing into something like that and doing, obviously, I guess, leveraging off the aspect of COVID. We were heavily in the COVID scene at the point. And then it carried on, and then Jake put me onto a project that was an alien-based project, and he tried to get me to buy in on it. And I was a bit sceptical. A mate's referred me, it's going to be a fucking good project, blah, blah, blah. He spent a chunk of money on it. I sat back, he got rug pulled.
Got rugged hard.
We've all been there.
Well, that's probably one of the main reasons I wanted it, and it was never voiced, but one of the main reasons I wanted it to be like that Martian or alien themed is just a constant reminder of Jake being
I don't need the reminder. I've got the useless pictures in my wallet.
Yeah.
It took me fucking 4 hours to Google how to hide them. I don't have to see them every time I open them.
Get out of my face. My wallet's full of those as well, mate.
Yeah, it sucks. But it is what it is, mate. At least it's a learning experience. You know what I mean?
100%. It's it's a pivotal moment in business. You realise, we can do something better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Were you guys in the crypto scene before NFTs?
A little bit.
I have been since about 2016.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a dabble, but I'm by no means an expert or a day trader or anything. Just kind of put little bits of money here and there and watch the videos and see what I can do.
Yeah, the classic Instagram influencers. You're like, oh shit, this is going to moon in 3 days.
Let me dump my life savings in.
You just drop 10 grand and fuck this.
Well, I guess for us as well with Outback Martians, and this is no disrespect to any other projects, but every second project, people are looking at certain charities or certain aspects of whether it's mental health or whether it's for men, women, fucking goldfish, don't matter what it is, if they're seeing it as a selling point. And I guess more recently for myself, it's getting to a point where it starts to piss you off because it's like, well, if you're going to do this with a passion behind it, then actually highlight that passion and do something different with it. I genuinely don't give a fuck if you're saying you're going to put 150 grand into Black Dog Institute. No, well, any charity, I won't mention any names, but if you're going to put this kind of money into this charity or this charity, because to me, I don't personally, I'm not saying charities are bad. I think they're good at what they do and they create awareness and everything else, but people have got to be paid to do that. Why aren't these projects that are trying to push this mental health aspect? Do it yourself. Go out and do it yourself and actually make a difference. It's not about sitting there and constantly talking. It's like breaking barriers in generations. That's what's got to be done. So that's a big thing for us. We're pretty passionate on that mental health aspect. I think, being veterans, we all deal with our own shit and deal with it our own way. And so do everyone else. Everyone's got a story.
Yeah.
So I guess that for us, it's definitely more recently, we're trying to put that a foot down. I guess try and set a standard with how you've set a standard, definitely in Australia, if you're dealing with men's mental health or you're dealing with stuff like that, that you're doing it in a certain way. There's actually genuine help there. It's not just constant conversations on what you're doing and this is where this is going. So that's kind of where we're looking at.
Yeah, it's not always about just dishing out money as well. And I think what a lot of people don't realise is that when you put, say, $10 into a charity, the only money that's going to actual help might only be 50 cents of that $10. The rest of it's going to administration fees and whatnot.
Yeah.
Whereas in Web3 and in particular NFTs, we have the ability to put a lot more of that $10 into actual help as well and provide genuine help, not necessarily, monetary value, like you're saying there.
Yeah.
We can provide a lot of help in other ways too.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do that as well by eventually empowering veterans through employment. Which is another way of sort of tackling an issue that exists at the moment. Handing out money hasn't been fucking working for the last 30 years. There's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And I think both of our projects are on the right line with that.
Yeah, and even jumping on like a GoFundMe. You've got GoFundMe, real people there. If you cleared their account, what they're trying to save up, like the amount of stress it relieved off that person, and they're local, you can see that it's making a difference straight away.
Yeah.
Might not always be used 100% for the right reason, but long as majority of it's going to what they're trying to do, I'd be more than willing to put money into that than I would be a charity.
Definitely,
Yeah.
Because it's got a direct effect.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I think on what John was saying as well is about putting action straight up.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of projects out there that they say, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but we're not going to do any of it until we're 100% minted out, which we know in the current market. What did you say the other day? The statistic was like 38 new projects a day are coming up in Australia alone. Like
mega numbers.
the chances you minting out immediately, unless you have someone like Floyd Mayweather behind it where everyone's just going to FOMO in because it's who he is. If you're just a bunch of blokes starting something, chances are you're probably not going to mint out overnight if something goes really, really well your way.
Yeah.
So
Not in this market anyway.
Yeah, especially.
Everyone's scared to spend money at the moment as well. And not blaming them at all. It is a very tumultuous time.
But looking at what can you do with what you have now? Like what can you start doing now that will only get better with more money rather than has to have that money to succeed at all?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're not relying on the money to get the idea out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And mate, that's true value of a project as well.
Which is what we're trying to do.
A lot of people are building these projects. They get the money and then the action starts then. But you guys are already actioning a plan and you haven't minted out, which is a positive as well.
Yeah. So we're doing as best we can with what we have. And obviously the more that mints out, the more money we have, the more resources that are disposable, the better we can do. But yeah, just starting with what you've got, like especially when it comes to like mental health, like you need a phone. Mate. That's it. Give someone a buzz.
Yeah.
Say good day. Like you don't even have to talk to them about their problems. Just give them a buzz. They might just be lonely and just want to have a human interact with some other human being, mate.
Yeah, you're not providing professional advice. You're providing sort of an ear to listen.
Yeah, to anything.
Yeah.
We started pulling more perfect after like last night we did that space on Twitter, and we have got those professionals. I guess the conversations we had a while back, and obviously we kind of started to warm them up to the idea and what it's going to do. People like these professionals are happy to help. Yeah, it's not an aspect of where you've got to be paying daft amount of money, and they're not going to be taking every single person in your Discord or every holder on as a one-to-one, but they're going to offer techniques that potentially can help, and then what we do down the line with everything else that we're trying to build will be. Which
can be portrayed to a group as well.
Yes. Yeah. You put points out there from these professionals, and 99% of your Discord users might have absolutely no use for it, but one person there goes, "Oh fuck, man, I never knew that." And maybe it doesn't need to be like they're right on the ledge and that's talked them back. Maybe they just had a bit of a shit few weeks and if I change that, maybe it gets a little bit better. They're just a better day. You know what I mean? Like something small. Yeah,
it's small steps in the right direction. That's what it is.
Exactly.
So in terms of business, what would you say, or have you had a pivotal moment of failure?
Yeah, definitely. Even just with, I guess, I wouldn't call it as strong as failure, but...
Or a lesson, we should say.
The biggest lesson that we kind of learnt from, we all knew this bear market was coming. We knew winter was coming. and I've voiced this a few times. We had to sit down as founders, what we were doing and the model. From day one, we always said there's going to be a parent business above this.
Yep.
And for us, it was more about having an NFT project that's part of our brand, and we're not just an NFT project. So I had a chat with the founders and it was a risk. At that point, it was a risk because that bear market, was it going to last a month or was it going to last 6? So we took the risk of stepping aside. And the biggest lesson on that was that it did take time away from the direct community. They were always kept in the loop. Everyone knew what was going on. We had strong conversations and strong relationships there.
Good communication.
Yeah, that's a key factor. It's going to prevent some projects that have got the right intention to slow rug because of the not having communication. Yep. And we had the conversations around all that. And for me, the learning point was, I guess, on that aspect is that was a major fucking risk. If that bull market came back round quicker than expected, we've just took time away from our NFT project to build more bloodlines to pump the NFT project.
Yeah.
And I guess the lesson for me in that was that in business you've got to take a risk. And if you sit back and if we sit back and went, oh, do you know what? No, we're carrying doing what we're doing. We're still going to be in the same situation we're in now. But for us now, it's a bigger scale. Obviously, we've got the NFT Biz Vegas, we've got the Medilab stuff that will roll out in the new financial year, so where it's on a stronger capacity. And being in a bear market and having that, we would have never got that unless I did take the risk. Because the boys weren't all gun for leather on it. It's like, oh, fucking, here we go again. He's got another fucking idea. But they had to back me on it because I didn't give them much of a fucking choice. Yeah. Being the lead founder.
Yeah, well, this is how it's going to go, fellas. Yeah.
Sink or swim.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, if you put something like that to the team and you're like, look, we are going to be doing this, you sit there and you bitch and moan about it, and you're going to create a high chance of what you think's going to happen of failing is probably going to fail. Whereas if you're like, all right, fuck it, you know what? Let's just go all in and give it a crack and see what happens. Like, we're not going to end up worse off than we are now.
No, well, you're never going to know if you don't give it a go.
Exactly.
And it's a good time to build on your foundations.
Yeah.
While things aren't too crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
And provide more value to the project.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said, like starting with those things that you can affect now and start doing now.
Yep.
While all of the other projects that are sitting around and they're waiting for the full mint out before they do anything, people are looking and they're like, those projects are probably not going to be there at the end of the bear market. They're probably going to be gone because they've got no funding to do anything. Whereas people look across and they're like, man, there's a bear market and these guys are actually like they're doing shit. It's not huge scale. It may not be fucking, blowing your socks off impressive, but these dudes are grinding. They're actually going through what they say they're going to do. Maybe they're actually worth putting some coin into. And then, potentially, hopefully it'll end up working out in the other end.
Yeah, and hopefully all the investors, that are listening into this realise the good that you boys are doing and the building that you're doing as well and the good projects that are out there that are actually worth investing in.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just a mint here and hope to make thousands of dollars of flipping a JPEG. It's an actual investment.
Yeah, we're not looking for paper hands. And there's longevity in what we're doing. You wouldn't go onto the normal stock market and invest in something that's going to do this in this short amount of time. So you've got to be looking at the NFT market in the same light. Like, what is the long term on this?
Yep.
Where people will mint into a project because there's a name connected to it. But you mint into a project that's going to become a lot of paper hands. And as we were speaking about the other day, James, like with the Web3 space and what's going on in there now, you've got a bunch of people that genuinely quit their full-time jobs to be full-time Web3.
Yeah.
Where are they? They're back in the full-time jobs because we all knew this was coming. What did you prepare for it? And I guess that's a big thing. And I think that's what's going to stand out. And I think there's going to be a lot of changes definitely within the NFT space. I think there's going to be a lot of big things coming up in this bear market that people are just not expecting. And that's because you've got some, obviously like what you guys are doing, and there's some projects in there that have got that business mindset where it's like, well, make hay while the sun shines. It's a bear market, but it's not affecting us in any way.
Yeah, and I think we're pretty lucky. Like, we've got other sources of income as well, where we're not relying on, Wardogs to live. Whereas a lot of people, they quit their jobs, like you just said. Yeah. They're like, I'm going to make shitloads of money in Web3. But now they're on their ass. And, they're back at McDonald's, getting the $20 burger flipper happening.
And it is sometimes admirable to go all in.
I'm all about it. Like, we're all I think you boys would be the same. You know, we're all in with everything. We take that max amounts of risk for the hope that, you know.
At the end of the day, though, I think it's more of an educated risk. Even though you're going all in, you're not going all in on a 90-10 split. You know what I mean?
No.
You're going in on something like, no, I think we've got a pretty good chance of kind of crunch the numbers. We could still fail, but I think we've got something that's probably going to make it, rather than being some dude who's selling bored apes and going, I can draw an ape. Yeah, I'll make millions.
Yeah.
Just draw 50 apes and sell them. And
Look where that's got them in court at the moment. So big shout out to them too. But, so guys, what's your plan moving forward? You know, it's a bit of a throwaway line here. Everyone says, "Oh, what's your 5-year plan?" But what's your actual plan moving forward from here with Outback Martians and business as well?
So for us, without like as we were saying before, like Outback Martians is just a component within the brand that we're building.
Yep.
That brand itself is Medilabs. That'll be going live in the new financial year.
Yep.
The component around Medilabs is more to do with staying as Web3 as possible. Like we all talk about this Web3 concept of we need to help each other and get Australia to this point within this Web3, within this NFT space. And as you say, your long-standing quote, or I guess phrase is it's about hand-ups, not handouts.
Yeah.
So for us, what the whole goal is that we've already had the conversations. We've not gone into too much detail with our community yet, but we've had a lot of details there with like NFT Bris Vegas and what that's going to be doing, what OM's doing and how that's going to be executed moving forward. And then with Medilabs itself, so with the actual concept of Medilabs, it's keeping there's many things that you would utilize in a Web3 business and an NFT business in Australia. Like there's no point trying to get Australia to this level when you're not looking around you and utilizing these IRL businesses, whether it's a small business that you can help promote, because those guys absolutely grind. Like my wife, she's got a full-time job and she's got a small business. Every second weekend, she's at markets all weekend. Like it's a grind for them. They don't stop. So utilizing all these things in Australia to build back into Medilabs, and then also help on the back end, still putting into NFT projects and wherever we can give advice or give connections to NFT projects. I know that we've both worked with NFT projects where we've got connections, and it's not that we're asking for anything in return. It's like, well, yeah, have a chat with this guy because this guy can give you what you need for this utility, and kind of helping each other out. So that'll come more to light as we click over into July. And then for Outback, we're currently working out the back end of a partnership with Outback, which is going to be the comedy side of the IRL stuff, which is going to be, I think, definitely in Queensland. Definitely in Queensland at the minute. I can show I'm watching Pornhub. Definitely at Queensland in a minute. It's going to be a good standing point for us. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on. We're just making sure that everything's, as you said earlier, like the foundations, the execution's done right, and we've got the right people around us. So it's kind of our goal with it.
It's hard to really talk about it too, because you don't want to throw any specifics out there, because as we all know, some things fall through and then you've got to pivot and move on to something else.
Yeah.
You don't want to throw something out and be like, hold on, you said that.
Yep.
Well, sorry, but that one didn't pan out. We're going to have to pivot and do something
I got banned from Twitter Spaces by the other founders because apparently I overshare.
He loves it. Gets a bit excited.
Yeah, I might overshare, but
you'd have to be on a Twitter space first to actually be sharing, mate. So get that finger away.
Yeah, like the oversharing thing. It's not a fact of oversharing. It's act of passion.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I've got fucking founders that I've got backache from carrying, so I've got to do you've got to do your bit.
Yeah, mate. I've got a sore lower back at the moment too, actually.
Well, like I said, that
shoulder. There we go. He's woken up. He wants to be part of the conversation now.
That's the thing, but people, especially in this this space, people hear something and they'll take it as gospel. That's it's the world that we live in. That's why I'm a bit more careful about what I say, because I don't want to mislead anyone. Because as soon as you start, people, even if you're not misleading, like I said, you are planning on doing something, falls through, you have to pivot. People then look at that and they go, oh, no, they're just making shit up. These guys are dodgy. And then that spreads and it becomes like a bad apple. It's just a negativity when that's not really the case. There are plenty of dodgy people out there, but you don't want to end up getting put in that light if you can avoid it.
So under promise and over deliver.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm looking for? Yeah.
That's what we've definitely done with Medilabs at this point.
Yeah.
We've mentioned a few things with it to our community, like to the people, the community and the holders and stuff like that. But we have definitely kept stuff, and not just for the fact of the fact of obviously not executing it, because these conversations have been happening, and the stuff we've been getting together has been happening since February. And when we realised that Mint Out is just it's just not as achievable as what it would have been 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But if anything, I think that makes I think that's really going to, regardless of how many projects are coming up, it's going to start to phase out the people that are here with that drive and the people that are here for quick success. Nothing lasts long from a quick success.
Yeah, they'll just quit on the back of they don't want to work.
Yeah.
That's all. They don't want to put in the hard work.
Yeah.
And I think that's where our military background gets us a little bit ahead of these people because, you know, we've all got egos as well, but our work ethic is undeniable. We just don't quit. And sometimes that's a detriment to us as well, but we just keep going.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. You're also not sure, like with Discord and Twitter and everyone's got different names or whatever. You don't know who's in what and who's listening.
Well, you don't have to be telling everyone what you're doing anyway. Like, you don't know old Blow Joe, Jimmy JPEG that's in your Discord. Like,
exactly. It could be anyone, and you throw a good idea out there before it's fully ready for sharing, and they've just stolen your idea, and now you've lost all your thunder there.
Yeah, but at the same time as well, it's good to be first to market.
Yeah.
So we got lucky. I know that me and you, James, had a big chat around the NFT Bris Vegas stuff and how the events can roll out and why it's going to be good to be utilised in Brisbane. And we took an absolute shot in the dark at that. Like that could have been the first turnout. We were lucky that we've got some strong founders around us as well with other projects where the turnout was still strong for a first event, definitely the time frame. So at the same time, you got to take a risk with this stuff. But as you said earlier, as long as you've actually thought out the risk, it's not just on the whim, then you're going to achieve more from it.
And it's a good bit of advice for veterans as well that want to get into business. You know, not everything works. You have to take that risk for it to work in the first place. You know, we said this yesterday too. Like, I've had a million ideas. And, you know, I could have bloody made a lot of money off a lot of those ideas, but I just didn't do it. And I think the key is to actually step into it and then make it happen from there.
Yeah, just give it a crack.
Yeah, give it a good crack, And, you know, that is getting us to the nitty-gritty and the back end of this. So what advice would you give to people transitioning out of the army that are looking at stepping into business? Not necessarily Web3, but in business in general. Because, you know, a lot of people step out of the army, as you said before, they just go, fuck this, I'm out. Discharge in, whack in their leave. You know, I did it. I think a lot of people did it too. Just no thought. There was no plan. It was like, fuck this, I'm going to get out and I'm going to become a dump truck driver in the mines in Maryborough. I'm going to earn a shit like, that didn't happen. So what bit of advice would you give to people transitioning?
Don't be scared of failing.
Yeah.
You're going to learn a lot more from failing than you are from success.
Yeah.
So just take the risk, and if it don't work out, then spend a bit of time on it. Like, don't take the risk because you're not a millionaire in a fucking week that you give in. Like, be realistic. But take the risk, and just keep pushing with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would caution getting out real quick too without a plan.
Yeah.
Like if you are going to look at getting into business, use the army and the military for as much as you can before you leave.
100%.
It's a good piece of advice I heard from, I think it was Jocko Willink actually on a different podcast. He said he tells guys now that are going in and want to join up, he's like, that's great. Like, go and do your thing and that's awesome. But the day you sign that dotted line, start planning for your exit.
Yep.
Doesn't mean you don't want to do their job anymore. Doesn't mean you have to half-ass or anything or you just look at it getting out. But start doing everything you can from the day you start to make sure that when you leave, you're good. You've got something. Don't just be like we did and, you know, get fed up with it and go, fuck this, and just throw your D in and leave and then be lost.
Didn't most of you Aussies have that concept though? Because don't 90% of you medically discharge anyway?
No, only when we have to work with the Brits, mate, and carriers blows our back out.
Again, that back's hurt. No.
Yeah, plan for it. Do as much as you can to sort yourself out before you get out. Yeah,
and I think, you know, something that I send home as well is that maybe the military can look at doing something there too. You know, giving the boys, you know, a transitional period of 6 months. You know, they might not like it, but it will definitely improve life afterwards too.
Yeah,
it might
for sure.
fuck knows, it might reduce incapacity payment claims and DVA claims and all that shit too.
Hey, even looking at giving people more of a ready option for leave without pay.
Yeah.
Like there's some guys that we
Study
know.
option, leave without pay study option. Yep,
or
great option.
just 12 months. Like, you get back from deployment over, you're burnt, and you're like, man, I'm getting out. But like, man, look, take 12 months, go around Europe, go chill out for 12 months, leave without pay, do whatever you want, pick up a bar, grow a beard, smoke weed, do whatever. In 12 months' time, come back. If you still want to bail, then discharge. Because I think a lot of us find that in that initial sort of 12 months, you have that first couple of months of like, this is sick. And then you get to like that 12-month mark and you're like, fuck, man, what am I going to do now?
Yep.
They'd probably end up with a better retention rate at the end,
100%.
which would be good for them. And it'd be good for the people who do really get out and go, no, I'm enjoying this. They can go off and do what they want.
100%.
I think I was just going to add lastly, I know we're going to wrap this up. I think one of the big things as well is just being, like, as you were saying earlier about the military, when you're in the military and that, and obviously things are tough and you do remember the good. It's like having a hangover. You think you're never going to drink again. And then
every weekend
you get back on the piss. Yep. I feel like that's the same in the military. There's not a day that goes by, or at least a week that goes by, where I don't miss that. You need to understand you're not going to have that brotherhood that you had in there. You're not going to have that again. And you do separate as you leave and time and real life gets normal. Understanding that's how the army keep us. That's probably a big effect of how we get when we leave. You start to feel lonely because you're so used to that. So just be realistic to the fact of you're just going into normal life. You're not going to be babied like how the military do, because that's what they do to keep you in.
Yep, definitely good bits of advice there. That sort of draws a close to this today, fellas. Big thank you for driving down from Brizzy today, gents. Early morning rise. It was difficult for us to get out of bed this morning.
I'm still cross-eyed.
Yeah, it's still a bit dusty, but, mate, appreciate your guys' time. We know that time's valuable, especially in the space that we're in, mate. Both Jacob and John, so appreciate that, fellas, and thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks,
Just Outback Martians, where can everyone find you? Just your socials.
Yeah. If you jump on the socials, or just jump on outbackmartians.com. It'll flow you straight through there, and feel free just to jump in. Or
what's your Twitter handle and Instagram?
Our Twitter handle is @OutbackMartians, and so is the Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy to find.
Yeah, and a big shout out to NFT Briz Vegas too. So if you want to get involved, you sort of want to dip your toes or find out what it's about. That event's on the 30th of July, isn't it?
30th of July, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good laugh.
Yeah,
Should be good.
Well, thanks for that, fellas.
Thank you.
We'll draw that to a close there.
Yeah. Thanks for all the input, Dotty. That was tops.
Yeah, great work, mate.
Yeah, love yous.
The Wardogs NFT mission and team and all related podcast episodes and content are provided for general information purposes only and do not constitute accounting, legal, tax or other professional advice. Visitors should not act upon the content or information found here without first seeking appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer or other professionals.